What's up, YouTube? This is Big Mike Sowell. So, first of all, let me give a shout to Ticket TV. All right, he's the first one I saw talking about this. All right, so NBA Hall of Famer Ray Allen, the 3-point king. All right, at least for a little longer. Steph Curry's knocking on that door, but Ray still is the leader in that category. But he was involved in a serious bicycle accident this past weekend. All right, I think Ray Allen lives in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. I think he lives in Florida. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was he was on a bicycle, I guess route, whatever, his little bicycle ride. He was near the end of his ride when he was involved in a serious accident. So what happened was, and I think that he explained this on Instagram. What happened was is that he was riding along, and had he been not distracted by what he thought was a car coming close to him from the back, he probably would have never been involved in this situation. When you ride a bike, you have to pay attention to the road. You have to pay attention to traffic and also the road, because you're not in a encased in a vehicle. You know, when you're out on the road, you have to worry more about other cars, and if there's weather conditions, you have to adjust to that. But when you're on a bike, you're open, your body is open, so you have to be aware of a lot more different things because you're more vulnerable, much more vulnerable than someone who's in a vehicle. But anyway, he felt the car coming behind him, so he turned around because he thought the car might have been trying to pass him or whatever. But when he turned around, the car was no longer there. Maybe it turned off on the side road or something. But when he had his head turned, he didn't notice that there was a tree branch in the road. I'm assuming it was on the side of the road. He hit the tree branch. His vehicle hit the tree. His car, excuse me, that's car, Jesus. His bike hit the tree branch. He loses control of his bike, and he wasn't going that fast. That's another thing that helped out. But still, the impact of the fall, he hit his head, he hit his shoulder, and his hip, and he got bruised up. Uh, and if you look at his helmet, it was scratched up. Okay, he was in a state of shock. He walked the last 100 yards from where he had the accident to where he lived. So he was able to physically walk 100 yards, but then he collapsed. I think when he got home, that's when he was rushed to the hospital. Now, thankfully, he didn't have any serious injuries other than some bumps and bruises. Um, they took the necessary tests. He didn't have any internal bleeding or serious internal injuries. But it could have been a lot worse, and probably would have been a lot worse had he not had his bicycle helmet. One of the main causes of death when it comes to accidents, bicycle accidents, um, even car accidents, is you know injuries that involve head and neck, and also to a degree internal bleeding. But I'm going to focus on the injuries to the head trauma. For instance, I'm just going to give some specific reasons, okay? Not reasons, but specific people. Drazen Petrovic. It was June of 1993 when we lost him. He died primarily due to head trauma. Jane Mansfield, the actress, the B movie actress of the 1950s and 60s, she was the mother of Mariska Hargitay, who stars on Law and Order. That was her mother. She died, of course, in a car accident in 1967. And, there was always this urban legend that she was decapitated or partially decapitated. And I think she might have been partially decapitated, but it was caused by the fact that many people saw her wig flying. She was wearing a wig uh, when she was involved in an accident. I think she went through the windshield, if I'm not mistaken. James Dean, the movie heartthrob of the 1950s, was killed in a car accident. I think it was November of no, I think it was late October, 1955. You know, he suffered head trauma among other injuries. The boxer Diego Corrales, who fought Floyd Mayweather back in 2001, I believe it was January 20th, 2001. Uh, he died in a motorcycle accident where his head hit head on the road, and he died instantly. Sam Kinison, 1992, April 1992, I believe it was. He died in a car accident in Hawaii. Um, when he was 38 years old, famous comedian in the 1970s, no, excuse me, 1980s, early 1990s. So there's several instances of people who have lost their lives due to bicycle accidents or, car accidents. And then there are also instances where someone may have survived, but they've had a life altering injury. Now, this name might not ring a bell to younger people, but people who are my age and older remember him. You remember Daryl Chill Mitchell? He was an actor slash comedian. I think the last thing he did before he suffered an accident was that movie that he did with Martin Lawrence called Black Knight. I think that's the last movie he did. I think it was in 2000 or 2001 when this accident happened where he was paralyzed. And to this day, I believe he's still in a wheelchair. You know, so the point of this video is uh, we all need to practice safety. And, I'm glad that Ray Allen survived this. I'm also glad that he put this out there because we sometimes, I think that we're tougher and less vulnerable than we really truly are. Our heads were not made to hit impact. I know sometimes we might get called hard headed, but you're not that damn hard headed. You know what I'm saying? If your head hits the concrete at a hard rate, it's our brains, our heads were not meant for that. Look, even when you look at football players who, uh, when scientists look at it, I remember one study that said that, if I'm not mistaken, the average football player who, from Pee Wee football all the way to the guys who play, let's say, 10 years in the NFL, I remember a study saying that on average, these guys in practice, exhibition, preseason, whatever, right? All together, they get hit in the head up to 70,000 different times. It may not be big impacts, but it can be small impacts. But these impacts it will take a toll on these guys. And a lot of times it doesn't show. Brain injuries often don't show and manifest itself earlier on. So a guy could, you know, have brain damage. He retires when he's 37 and he's fine. He seems outwardly fine. A lot of times it takes years for the symptoms of these brain injuries to manifest themselves. And then that's when you have the Junior Seau do what they do. That's when you have, I suspect, you know, guys like Richard Sherman and others and Chad Wheeler. I suspect that brain injuries play a role in why some of these guys do what they do. I'm not excusing some of these people. Some of it's not that. But, you know, when you look at some of the behavior of some of these NFL players and wrestlers, Chris Benoit, a lot of it comes from traumatic brain injuries or CTE or what have you. Okay. So anyway, I veered off a little bit further than what I was trying to talk about in this video, but I'm just glad that Ray Allen survived this ordeal. It was only on May 28th of this year that the NBA family lost Utah Jazz great Mark Eaton, one of the great shot blockers of all time, Defensive Player of the Year winner. Um, he won it twice, if I'm not mistaken. Still holds the official uh, blocks uh, record. I think it was in the mid 80s when he did it. So yeah, the NBA family just lost him, and thank God, Ray Allen may have been motivated from that. For all we know, Ray Allen may have been motivated from the Mark Eaton tragedy to wear his helmet more vigilantly. So that's a situation that could have possibly be. But we're just glad that Ray Allen is going to be okay. Tell me what you guys think.